Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Lagos, there lived a very wealthy man named Mr. Farah. Mr. Farah was a businessman who specialized in importing and exporting things out of the country. Luckily for him, despite being in a very competitive business, Mr. Farah made a lot of money. As a man who loved his family so much, Mr. Farah ensured that he provided everything his wife and daughter needed, and sometimes he helped his extended family members too. 2 years after Mr. Farah married his wife Bola, they gave birth to a beautiful baby girl and named her Sarah. After Sarah's birth, Mr. Farah and his wife Bola continued to try for another child, but unfortunately, Bola couldn't conceive. After several years of trying for another child, Mr. Farah and his wife stopped and decided to focus on raising Sarah. As expected, Mr. Farah and Bola showered Sarah with love. They gave her the best clothes, shoes and toys, and even sent her to one of the best schools in Lagos State. In fact, it reached a point where Mr. Farah and Bola spoiled Sarah so much that their extended family members began to complain about the endless gifts and praises they showered on Sarah.
Sister, don't you know that all these things you are doing for Sarah will turn her into a spoiled child? You don't have to give her everything she asked for. Sometimes you have to say no. If not, she will grow up and become entitled, and you do not want that.
Bola's younger sister Yemi said one day while she was visiting Bola. That day, Bola's sister Yemi noticed that Bola was handing Sarah everything she demanded, and this made Yemi very uncomfortable.
Yemi, you have 4 children, so I can understand if you are unable to give them everything they ask for. I have just 1 child, so please, allow me to spoil my daughter. If I can afford what she wants, I see no reason why I shouldn't give it to her, Bola said. I know, sister, but you know how these kids can be. Have you thought of what will happen if you cannot afford these things tomorrow? I'm not saying do not give things to her, just say no sometimes,
Bola's sister Yemi said.
I have heard you. Thank you for your advice and my regards to your family,
Bola said before bidding Yemi goodbye. Funnily enough, even though Bola acted like she would take Yemi's advice, she didn't. She continued to shower Sarah with gifts, toys, ice cream, and whatever she asked for until Sarah grew into a beautiful teenage girl. Even when Sarah became a teenager, Mr. Farah and Bola did not stop pampering her. They would throw expensive birthday bashes for her and give her super expensive gifts that most adults couldn't afford. However, despite being overly spoiled and pampered by her parents, Sarah was a very respectful girl. She never disobeyed her parents and she respected her elders. Even at school, Sarah respected her teachers and treated her classmates equally. In fact, Sarah turned out to be the total opposite of what people thought she would be. She wasn't rude or arrogant in any way. Instead, she had a heart of compassion and was always looking for ways to help people who were below her financial status. Not only was Sarah warm and compassionate to everyone, but she had friends from all walks of life. She was friends with her gateman's daughter, and she never looked down on anyone. About a year after Sarah completed her secondary school education, her parents decided to send her to a private university in Nigeria instead of sending her to study abroad like they had planned, and Sarah didn't have any problem with that. During her first year at the university, Sarah met a boy named Lanre. Lanre was the son of a fruit vendor whom Sarah bought fruits from in the market, and she was always very friendly to him. Although Lanre was a couple of years older than Sarah and came from a very poor background, Sarah had a big crush on him. Unlike Sarah, who attended a private university, Lanre attended a government university. "How many apples do you want?" Lanre asked Sarah one evening when she went to buy fruits from their fruit stand. 8 apples, please," Sarah said with a smile.
"I'm Sarah. What's your name?"
she added.
"I'm Larry.
Larry said as he packed the apples into a small bag. Hi, Larry. It's nice to meet you. I've been wanting to tell you that you have such a nice voice. Do you sing? Sarah said. Immediately Sarah said that, Larry blushed, but he managed to hide it. Thank you for the compliment. No, I do not sing, Larry said. Oh, that's bad. I thought you would be a badass singer like Johnny Drill, Sarah said, and Larry burst into laughter. You are funny. And here are your apples, Larry said as he handed the apples to Sarah. Thank you. Sarah smiled shyly. I'll see you around, she added. That day, Sarah didn't want to be too forward with Larry. If not, she would have asked for his phone number. However, although Sarah didn't say too much, Larry could tell from her body language and childish smiles that she liked him. About a week after Sarah bought the apples, she returned to the fruit stand and found Larry there. It wasn't a coincidence that Sarah met Larry at the fruit stand. She knew he would be there, not his father. So she decided to use the opportunity. After Sarah bought all the fruits she needed, she summoned the courage to ask Larry for his phone number, but Larry beat her to it. You want my number? Sarah asked in shock when Larry asked for her phone number. Yes, please. That is, if you do not mind, Larry said. Of course not, Sarah said. From how she answered, it was apparent that she was so excited to give Larry her number and she couldn't hide her excitement. I'll call you later this evening, Larry said after Sarah called out her number. I'll be expecting your call then, Sarah said. Because of the chemistry between them that evening, Larry ended up giving Sarah the fruits she wanted for free. As promised, Larry called Sarah later that evening and they had a long conversation. After their conversation over the phone, they began chatting on their mutual social media platforms. A couple of days after their phone conversation, Larry and Sarah went on a date. Since Larry was still a student and couldn't afford to take Sarah to the fancy restaurants she was used to, they went to a local canteen. They had 2 bottles of Coke and a plate of pepper soup. What do you think of this place? I know it's not what princesses like you are used to, Larry said. It's not bad. It's my first time here actually and I totally love the experience, Sarah said with a broad smile. Really? You like it here? I was thinking you'd hate me for bringing you here, Larry said. Hate you? Why would I do that? Sarah laughed. There's nothing wrong with this place. And besides, this pepper soup is really nice, she added. Sarah, I invited you here because there's something that has been on my mind for a while now, Larry said. What's that? Sarah asked. It's you, Sarah, Larry said. Me? Did I do anything wrong? Sarah feigned ignorance. Sarah knew that Larry had fallen in love with her, but she chose to play dumb. No, you didn't. I don't actually know how to say this, Sarah, but I cannot stop thinking about you. I know it's awkward for a man like me to want a woman like you, but I'll take the risk and ask you this question. Will you be my girlfriend? Larry said. Yes, Larry! Yes, I will! Sarah said excitedly. Really? Larry heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you so much, my queen. I promise that I will not do anything to break your beautiful heart, Larry said. Me too. You will be my one and only love forever, Sarah said. One and only? Wait a minute. Am I your first boyfriend? Larry asked, and Sarah nodded shyly. Wow! Larry exclaimed in shock. Even though Sarah knew that she and Larry were from different worlds, she didn't mind. She loved him so much and wanted to be with him. Knowing that her parents would not support and approve of her relationship, especially since she was still very young, Sarah kept her relationship a secret from them for 3 years. In those 3 years, She literally changed Larry's life. Whenever Sarah got money from her parents, she would split it into half and give half to Larry. Every 3 months, she would go shopping for herself and Larry, and she even rented a 1-bedroom apartment for him close to his campus because she was not comfortable with him schooling from home. With Sarah in his life, Larry did not lack anything. In the twinkling of an eye, he changed from the poor guy who depended on his parents' fruit business to the rich dude who had everything he wanted. Although Sarah's parents did not know about her relationship with Larry, Larry's parents were aware of it and fully supported it. Sometimes, they would push Larry to borrow money from Sarah for their needs because they knew Sarah would never ask for her money back. 3 years after Sarah hid her relationship from her parents, she finally decided to stop hiding.
No, Sarah. I cannot accept such a relationship. There are many men out there. Why did you have to settle for someone like Larry?
Bola, Sarah's mother, asked in a concerned tone.
Because I love him, Mom. I love him so much, and his background does not matter to me,
Sarah said.
And does this boy love you?
Sarah's father, Mr. Farah, asked.
Yes, Dad. He loves me so much,
Sarah said.
No, I don't think so. From all you have told us, it is obvious that this boy and his family are just using you,
Bola said.
No, Mom. Please do not say that about him. You barely know him like I do. Larry is a great guy and he loves me,
Sarah defended Larry.
Honey, I thought you would end up with someone in our social status or even close. I want you to know that life is unpredictable with someone like Larry. There are chances that he could become rich tomorrow, and there are chances that he might remain poor,
Mr. Farah said.
Dad, I do not like what you and Mom are doing. You haven't even met him and you're already writing him off. At least get to meet him and know him for yourself,
Sarah said.
All right, you can invite him over. But if we smell anything fishy, then you will have to end your relationship. You are still in your early 20s and you still have time to meet many men,
Mr. Farah said.
Thank you, Dad. I will talk to him and let you know when he's coming,
Sarah said. When Sarah had that conversation with her parents, she thought that Larry would win her parents' hearts so they would approve of their relationship. But she was wrong. On the day Larry went to Sarah's house, things took an awful turn. The minute Sarah's parents set their eyes on Larry, they saw him for who he was, a pretentious gold digger. But despite everything Bola and Mr. Farah said to convince Sarah, she refused to listen to her parents.
Mom, Dad, I love Larry and nothing you say will make me change my mind. You guys hated him even before you met him, so I'm not even surprised you're doing this,
Sarah said.
No, Sarah. We are your parents and you must listen to us. Larry doesn't love you like you think. He is only using you. He knows you are from a rich home and he's only with you because of the benefits he's getting,
Bola said.
No, not my Larry. I refuse to believe that, Mom. You know what? I do not need you or Dad's approval. I am an adult now and I can make decisions by myself,
Sarah said, and then she walked out of her parents' house.
Sarah, come back here now,
Mr. Farah yelled, but Sarah didn't listen.
What do we do now? I have said everything I know, but she will not listen,
Bola said.
The best thing to do in this situation is nothing,
Mr. Farah said.
Nothing? How can you say that?
Bola said.
Trust me, if we try to sabotage her relationship, she might hate us forever. So let her learn on her own, even if it's the hard way,
Mr. Farah said. That day, after Sarah left her parents' house, she went straight to Larry's apartment to apologize for her parents' behavior towards him. Surprisingly, Larry was not as mad as she had expected. Instead, He came up with an idea that would force Sarah's parents to accept him. Without thinking about the consequences, Sarah accepted Lanre's idea, not knowing that she was about to make one of the worst mistakes of her life. A mistake that eventually revealed Lanre's true character. Watch out for part 2. Did you enjoy this story? Tell us your favorite part in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.